What's up everybody, my name is Valreth, aka Sinric, and this will be my 1.12.1 vanilla mage guide for raiding and PvE content. Talents are pretty easy when it comes down to it for mages in vanilla. You've really just got fire and frost. There is a talent that does use arcane power with frost, but you're still only really using frostbolt. For 5-mans and 20-man raids, preferred spec by most people would be fire, combustion, 17, 31, 3. A lot of mobs, obviously in Molten Core and Blackwing Lair, are going to be immune to fire, so if you want to see fire a little bit and you want to play it some, it would be a good time to do it during 5-mans and maybe save up some gold for a respec when you get into raiding, you know. But for raiding, you want to use Winter's Chill 18-0-33, and at least one mage needs to be a Winter's Chill stacking spec so that the other mages get the damage buff. Other than that, pretty much everybody else goes the Arcane Power Frost build. Raiding stat priorities for mage are pretty easy. There's 3 categories I can really think of. One is increasing damage, or to increase our DPS. The other is to increase our mana pool or regeneration so that we don't and we can keep attacking. And the third is survivability. That was a big one in vanilla actually, was needing resistances and a certain amount of stamina to survive bosses. You don't really see that in too many MMOs anymore because it's just get whatever gear you can get and go kill the boss. For spell damage, an item that increases damage done by spells and effects, let's say 21 for this guide, each spell will give you a certain amount of actual damage per amount of spell damage to that spell. So as listed here, Fireball gets 100% of that 21 spell damage. So when your Fireball does 100 damage, with 21 extra spell damage, it's going to do 121 damage. With Frostbolt, if your Frostbolt is going to hit 100 and you have 21 extra spell damage, since it's only 81.4%, that's going to be somewhere about 16, 15, 16 extra damage. So you'd be hitting for 116 Frostbolts. It's important to know this for your rotations and skills. As a caster in vanilla, you always have 1% chance to miss with your spells. If you increase the level difference between you and the monster, your chance to miss increases more. There's a little guide for you to go by right here. Target level equals 60 and you're level 60, you have a 4% chance to miss. Target level 61, 5% chance to miss. Target level 62, 6% chance to miss. And target level 63, 17% chance to miss. Raid bosses are level 63, so our aim is to try to get around 16 to 17% hit. Remember, you can get about 6% hit from talents, so 10% of it must come from your gear. The thing with crit too now is that people think that 1% crit means out of 100 casts you're going to get an extra crit, but that's not really true because you got to factor in the resists. So if you have 10% chance to resist on a boss, then that means you're only going to hit it 90% of the time. So when you take 100 of those casts, you automatically have to remove 10 off because 10 are probably going to resist. So if you have a crit chance of 20% and you're only going to hit the boss 90% of the time, you would have to do 20 times 0.9, which means only 18 out of your 100 casts will be critical hits. Spell penetration really isn't used that much by mages in PvE because, like I said earlier, in raids, if they're going to resist the spells, most of the time mages just change spec. But for the people who do get a little bit of spell pen, I can't really recall if there's any on some gear from raiding. Each 10 spell pen is about a 2.5% DPS increase on average. There's a little more information here about spell pen if you want to read it, but I'm not going to go over it too much. As far as intellect goes, it's really considered a second stat for raiding. Every 59.5 intellect you get, you gain 1% chance to crit, and every 1 intellect equals 15 maximum mana. But 60 intellect per 1% chance to crit is so small that it doesn't really make it that important, which is why it's a secondary stat. You really want to go for that spell hit, spell damage, and then also extra spell crit on your gear, because that's really where your damage is going to come from. Spirit and mana per 5 aren't really that important to me. I feel like just having more intellect would be better off. Some people would disagree, but I just don't really see the benefit of it. Stamina, arguably one of the most important, because when you run out of health, that's the biggest DPS loss of all. You need to be alive in order to do the fight, and that's why you have to have the right gear for the fight. As far as the guide really goes, I think that's going to be it. I'm going to leave a picture of pre-raid best in slot for mages, and also a list of consumables from best to worst that you could use while raiding or doing dungeons, just for you to look at and look up in your own time. There's no reason for me to really go over them in the video and explain every single place to get them from. If there's anything else you would like to see, leave a comment down in the bottom, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Thank you very much.